Hey guys, what's happening? Robert here, BP News Channel. Just wanted to do an update on a brief update. We'll probably do a little of the news too while we're here. Just wanted to update you on some of the viral conversations that are going on about Netanyahu possibly having been taken out. It is interesting. There is some weird things connected to this rumor. And not to mention the fact that, as I said in my title, I had kind of gotten this message. Now, some of you may know my background and when I talk about, and a lot of Christians will tell you that the Holy Spirit does give you insights and messages at times. Would be classified the gifts of the Spirit. But this happened a couple days ago. But I'm going to go into the details of what is being said right now, and then I'll tell you more about that experience that I had a couple of days ago. And I didn't say anything about it because obviously, even now, saying something about it now, I feel like is kind of pushing the envelope out there because there's obviously no confirmation at this point. There was a video that was released of Netanyahu that many people are saying it was AI 2 days ago. Now, some of the surrounding what you would call circumstantial type evidence, they're saying that might give credence to this rumor, is that he normally leads the Security Council meetings over what's happening in Iran, and he's always in the on the TV about this with the Iran conflict, but in the last 3 days, he hasn't been seen at these meetings. There's been 2 of them. And normally he always is the heads up these meetings. He hasn't been there in the last 2 meetings. There was one today and there was one yesterday, I believe it was. Now, people are saying that video of him on the 12th of March, where he talks all about the Messiah. He keeps talking about the Messiah and how Israel's going to usher in the Messiah, right? This is something that Netanyahu really doesn't do too much. And his conversation seemed very animated. It could very well have been AI. I don't personally think it was in terms of the fingers, because they said, there was 6 fingers. If you really look at what people are saying were 6 fingers, which could be an indication that it was AI, I didn't see the 6 fingers. I saw what could be considered to be an optical illusion, the way he had his hands bent. It could have looked like a 6th finger, but if you look at the other side, it looks similar. His other hand looks very similar to the hand on the left, and he has them both clenched, pointed. So I don't know if that would be considered. Now it could be, because AI's gotten so good. But there were rumors that there was some kind of an attack on his person, his personal whereabouts, and then there was all this conversation that was a rumor, obviously, online, that he had been wounded or killed, and even Iranian sources had posted it on Iranian media. So people were asking for proof of life, and there's all kinds of people calling for him to stand out. Now, I'm going to tell you what may be considered circumstantial evidence. So yesterday, Secretary Bassett, and I'm going to look at this because I haven't seen these videos yet. Secretary Bassett was called out of a meeting that he was in the middle of doing live on camera by President Trump into the Situation Room. And he left right in the middle of the meeting. And he went to go talk to Trump. And then he came back, and he seemed like he was really shaken. He wasn't stirred. He was shaken. No, he looked really like nervous. He came back to finish the meeting, but he looked different. He didn't look like he had any confidence. People were saying he looks like he just heard something terrible. Why would the president interrupt something that he was doing so urgently to have him come back? Now, I don't know if this is optics or if this is just Trump's way of trying to cause a controversy and more ratings. I don't know, but there might be something more to that. On top of the fact that Netanyahu hasn't been seen at the last 2 security meetings, which he normally leads. He normally leads these meetings, and he's always there. and he hasn't been there for 2 days. Now, there was something that was spoken at one of the meetings where it looked like the Israeli minister Katz looked, and there was also a statement posted that kind of made me think like there might be something more to this. Now, I'll give you the background on what happened with me 2 days ago. It was 2 days ago. It was the day that all this came out, that people started talking about it, or that it was put in the news. I was, doing some devotions. I don't know what it was, just meditating, prayerfully contemplating things. I was just really quiet. And, sometimes I get these little messages that I listen to because they're usually pretty, I'm not saying that they're not, sometimes, you can, it's kind of like, the scripture says you'll hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. It's a voice that kind of comes in behind your own voice at times. And sometimes you'll be like, wow, where did that come from? Was that my thought? Was that something? And you got to discern. You got to be able to discern and detect. And many times those thoughts, if you're really paying attention, could actually be a message given to you if you're doing what the Lord is calling in your life, you might be able to get tapped into that. So what happened was I heard this. This is what I heard. Lots of high-level leaders in Iran have been taken out deceptively with treachery in dealing politically with this was the message I got, that there is going to be a recompense, that God is going, and I felt he said somebody high level. And I was like, what? Like when I heard that, I was like, wow. So I thought, should I share that? No, I'm not going to share that. And even up to this moment, I didn't really want to share it. I told my wife about it yesterday. I didn't even tell her. I thought, I'm not going to say anything because that sounds kind of outrageous. And you can't just go online and say something like that. Even now, me putting this out there, it's still unconfirmed, and people are saying it's still he's been seen on the 12th, and that's debunked. Like he had actually a meeting on the 12th. But see, people are saying that that's AI because AI is that good. You can have AI so well now. The technology's there now where you can not know whether or not something is actually real. But his conversation and that message was all about the return of the Messiah, how he's going to usher in, and that this was a part of Israel's mission to bring back the Messiah. So you have to wonder, is this really happening? Did something happen to Netanyahu? This is not normal. This is not normal. Now, they could be doing this on purpose. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you been looking at what's been being said about this online? There is all kinds of calls now, especially in the last few hours, for Netanyahu to come forward and to, confirm that he's alive. What gave me kind of pause was that one message. Honey, if you have that one message where they respond, the Israeli government responds, I think it was 2 days ago, the way they responded. And it almost sounded like, let me see if I can find it here. I got to go back 2 days. If you find it, let me know. I'm just looking right now really quick. And everybody's now calling for Netanyahu to confirm that he's alive, because it's gone on for 2 days now where people are saying he's not there. 3 days. He normally is. Okay, here it is. The Prime Minister of Israel Prime Minister on X. So this is what was said yesterday. This was yesterday. This is how they responded. Let me pull it up here. This was the official statement from the X account of the Prime Minister of Israel. Official statement from Prime Minister's office. Rumors circulating on social media about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's status are unconfirmed. We urge citizens to rely on verified updates. Efforts are underway to establish contact. Prime Minister Netanyahu remains committed to Israel's security. Why would they say efforts are underway to establish contact? That's what I don't get. I don't understand that statement. That doesn't make sense to me. They should know where he's at. They should have contact. He's the prime minister of the country. Why wouldn't they have contact? Anyways, then moving on to this, let's just kind of look. I mean, people are saying, look at the Patriot Voice is saying, and he's got a very big account. And Patriot John, if you're out there and you listen to us, we'd like maybe if you ever do podcast to come on and talk to us, if you would sometime. But because I think sometimes he follows our channel on Telegram. But look at it, he's even calling for it too. There's a lot of channels out there now calling the Young Turks. The gal that's the sidekick of Sent is also asking for confirmation. There's a lot of channels out there that are now doubting whether or not there is something really wrong. There is a fact check that says Grok has said that this is, that he was seen today, or that he was at a security meeting today and that he led it. No, he didn't. He didn't lead it. Grok is wrong many times. I don't know if you've ever looked at some of the things that Grok has said. I watched Grok completely get everything wrong, and the whole conversation was just, what is this? Grok's supposed to be AI, intelligent, smarter than humans, and it can't even figure this out? Like, really? I mean, we're saying AI is... Now, this was Grok. I'm not saying all AI is like this. Every AI model is different, but sometimes AI does not get it. And I don't know if they're programming it to say certain things or what, but anyways, look at some of this stuff here. I want to... He sits here and he talks about the Messiah's return as Israel targets Iranian leadership. This was the last meeting that he supposedly did live. This was on the 12th. It was 2 days ago, I believe. So it says Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has sparked international alarm after claiming his ongoing military offensive is paving the way for the Messiah's return. Like I said, this is out of character for him to be saying something like this. You got to kind of wonder, why would he be, what would be the reason for him to be saying this? What did I just do? Shoot. Sorry about that. All right. So then these are the meetings. I want to show you the meetings. Let me get another window open here really quick. So I can show you these meetings. And these are videos that may seem kind of interesting in the sense that there might be something else going on here that we're not fully aware of yet officially, because it does look like there's something strange going on. And these are the official meetings at... Hold on one second here. In the Israeli government. Okay. So here is, this meeting was today. Okay, this was today's meeting.
Oh,
hold on, let me pull this, make sure I got this right here. Okay, so this was today's meeting. Now, normally, Netanyahu is sitting in the seat. Okay, for some reason, today and yesterday, he hasn't been seated and leading these meetings. So this was today. He's got a black shirt, a black coat. This is Israeli Defense Minister Katz. Let's listen and kind of see what he had to say here. Even though we can't understand Hebrew, but I just kind of want to look at his body language here.
ראש הברית דונלד טראמפ וראש ממשלת ישראל בנימין נתניהו עולה מדרגה ונכנס לישורת ההכרעה שתימשך, אותו מובילים מול איראן, אותו מובילים נשיא ארצות הברית דונלד טראמפ וראש ממשלת ישראל בנימין נתניהו, עולה מדרגה ונכנס לאישור.
I'm trying to see what he said there. He said, okay, he said the global and regional fight against Iran, led by U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister in the days of Netanyahu. Why would he say in the days of Netanyahu? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, maybe that's just a translation deal, but it almost sounds like that means when Netanyahu was still alive. You know, like, why would he say in the days of Netanyahu?
Netanyahu.
And then he says, in the days of Netanyahu, is rising and entering a decisive stretch. Talking about the war with Iran. This is entering into a decisive moment. And to approve the decision that will last as long as it takes, for the hard blow that landed tonight, the fragment of the end of the alliance. I have no idea what that means. Now that's like a weird translation, and that you're talking about a translation out of Hebrew. So getting back to this, there's now the one that happened the other day. Okay, so it says the Israeli Defense Minister Katz held a situation assessment in the bunker together with the chief of staff and other senior officials in the defense system. He said that the struggle against Iran is escalating and we are entering the decisive stretch that will continue as long as necessary. Katz added that only the Iranian people can put an end to this through determined struggle until the overthrow of the terror regime and the salvation of Iran. Okay. Now, this one was from 3 days ago. This was the meeting from 3 days ago.
בהובלת נשיא ארצות הברית דונלד טראמפ.
And I'll pull it up so you can read it. It's in English, dubbed. This operation, led by U.S. President Donald Trump, who speak and coordinate every day and Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who speak and coordinate every day and direct. And now, why would he have to say that? They speak every day. It's being directed by Netanyahu and Trump. This is the same thing he said again today. He said the same thing in the beginning of this meeting, that they're both working together. Why would you need to? That's already understood. We already know that. Why do you got to repeat that? Right? It's like you're just telling us every time there's a meeting that they work together. And then it says, and direct and determine the policy from there, carried out by you and by CENTCOM together with the U.S. military. This operation will continue without any time limit, as long as necessary, until we achieve all the objectives. Now, he said the same thing today. You can tell he's got a different undershirt, right? He had a black one earlier, and this one now is white. So this was obviously 3 days ago. This one was 3 days ago. The other one with the black shirt underneath was today. But Netanyahu, nowhere to be seen. So it says, as long as it's necessary, until we achieve all of the objectives, as long as necessary, until we achieve all the objectives and decide the outcome of the campaign. And so now that was basically almost the same thing that he said today, almost verbatim. I mean, it was put in different different phrases, but if you remember what I just read to you from the previous one, it was almost exactly the same kind of content. And these are security meetings that supposedly, we're all supposed to be feeling more peaceful about because they're in control, right? They're in control. They know what they're doing. So that was 3 days ago. This one right here, see, he's got the black undershirt there. That was today. Now, let's see what this is here. And as I said earlier, usually he's in these meetings. And he's not in these meetings now. Don't you find that to be odd?
האזורי מול איראן, אותו מובילים נשיא ארצות הברית דונלד טראמפ וראש ממשלת ישראל בנימין נתניהו, עולה מדרגה ונכנס לישורת ההכרעה שתימשך ככל שידרש. אני מברך את הנשיא טראמפ על המכה הקשה שהנחית הלילה צבא ארצות הברית על אי הנפט האיראני. זאת התגובה ההולמת למיקוש מוצרי הרמוז וניסיונות הסחיטה של משטר הטרור האיראני. גם חיל האוויר הישראלי ממשיך בגל תקיפות עוצמתי בטהרן ובכל איראן. איראן מפעילה טרור וסחטנות אזורית ועולמית.
So he's just basically praising Donald Trump for some strikes on Iran, that they're in a decisive phase right now. A decisive phase. All right, now there's another statement here. Let's see this one here. You can kind of see what Netanyahu is talking about here with this Messiah thing. Look at what he's saying. He's talking in Hebrew, so we can't really, understand what he's saying. But here's the dubbed-in translation here. If you want to look at what he said, now normally Netanyahu doesn't talk like this. This was supposedly the last known time that he was seen. Now, I'm going to start from the beginning here. Let's go back. See if we can go from the beginning. So I will tell you, we may reach the return of the Messiah, but it is not going to happen next Thursday. I hope if the Iranian government falls, and he went way too fast. Let me just go back. So he basically says, I will tell you, we may reach the return of the Messiah, but it is not going to happen until next Thursday. Well, it will not happen next Thursday. I hope it falls, the Iranian government, and then the problem will be solved. But in any case, it's just a different Iran. It is no longer as threatening as it used to be. It is not the same entity. It is not the giant bully that cannot be dealt with and that cannot be united against. People are uniting against it right now, together with us, and are also acting against it to overt ways and in other ways that will be clarified later. In any case, I can tell you that with God's help, Israel is on a much stronger path and with much greater strength than it has ever had. And in the end, we need to understand that I think everyone is saying, wait a minute, we will reach rest and inheritance. We will reach what? We will reach rest and inheritance. We will reach the return of the Messiah. So I will tell you, we may reach the return of the Messiah, but it is not going to happen next Thursday. Now, he said that in the beginning. In the life of nations, you constantly encounter new days, and old days that are renewed. And the only way to ensure your existence, your future, your ally, and the alliances you made, the alliances made with you, is to be very strong. And there is no doubt that from battle to battle, from the War of Independence to the Operation Rising Lion, Israel emerges stronger than ever before. I don't know. That just sounded, I don't know if that was edited or it just seemed very disjointed. But the conversation about the Messiah there is interesting because it looked like it was kind of edited in there, like there was some kind of edit there, but oh well. Very strange. And as I said, this is a lot of talk about Netanyahu's, whether or not he's actually alive or not. So here is another one. Let's look at this. I think this is Dabu. Let's see what Dabu had to say on this. Some of you guys might know who Dabu is. So today's news, North Korean state television claims that Netanyahu was killed along with his brother and 6 generals. You've got to be kidding. North Korean state television. Now, you can only take that with a grain of salt because obviously North Korean state television, can you even believe anything that's being said on there, right? Let's see if we can find the source on that. That was posted today. This information be taken with caution as Israel has made no official confirmation. With AI-generated images and circulating rumors, it is increasingly difficult to separate fact from fiction. Readers are urged to stay vigilant and maintain critical thinking. That's coming from an account that has almost 219,000 followers. The Middle East. And that's I think that's AMRI. That's an official, is that an official news agency? We transmit world news, politics, war, breaking news. Okay. Now, there's a big meeting right now with Mario on X that he's hosting, and it's Iran war. The U.S. sending troops. Well, we are sending troops. And Trump has made a statement today that he's going to attack the beaches of Iran. So what does that mean? Are we going to do a landing, an amphibious landing? We're going to pummel the beaches of Iran. That's what he said. The shores. He's talking about the shores. So let's take a look at some of the news from today and go over that and see what's really going on here. So this is just from today's news. Look at some of this stuff. I mean, look at this is a U.S. tanker, that was hit today. A U.S. tanker completely engulfed in flames, hit by a Iranian drone. You know, that's not good. This was near the Iraqi port of Qusr, after being hit by a suicide drone. Look at that. That thing is completely destroyed. In response to the Israeli-U.S. bombing, a Sifar bank in Tehran, Iran, has struck 3 American branches, Citibank branches in Dubai and Bahrain this morning. Did you see that? Look at this. Look, this was a Citibank building. I believe this one right here is in Dubai. So here, let's look at the actual footage, and you can see it when it happens. Just listen to this.
ये ड्रोन जा रहा है, आप लोग देखिए, ये भागो, पीछे तो पीछे, बहुत तगड़ा ही धमाका हुआ है यहाँ बहरीन में। देख लीजिए, ये देखिए।
Yeah, that was Dubai. That sounded like Indians. I know there's a lot. It's an international kind of city, so there's all kinds of people there from different parts of the world. But it did sound like he was speaking Indian, whatever you call it, the Indian language. The Israeli security establishment is detecting movement of launchers in Iran, Yemen, and Lebanon. Will the Houthis out of Yemen join the war? That's going to be a three-front war on Israel, definitely turning into a regional conflict. The Houthis in Yemen, the decision to undertake military action has been made. It says it is now only a matter of time. So we could be seeing a bunch of conflict now in another part on these other areas where there's international shipping that is going to be attacked. So this could also be another front that's opened up for the U.S. as well. Existential battle. Hezbollah chief says terror group ready for the long confrontation. It's an existential battle. When you have an existential battle, you fight for your very life. You're going to do anything to survive. That includes breaking what may be normal rules of conflict and rules of war, right? You're going to do everything you can. So here's what Trump said today. Many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability. Really? It don't look like that. But but then he goes, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. Hopefully, China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area. If it's not a big deal, then why do they need to send? If they're already defeated, why do they need to send ships? To send ships? I don't know if he means like warships or if he means to just go ahead and try your luck and send in your, container ships and your, oil tankers and whatever else. Is he telling them to just go ahead and test the strait, or is he telling them to bring in their warships? What's he telling them? It's not really clear there. And so even if it's warships, then he already said they're 100% defeated. They just have a few missiles here or there. But what is he actually saying? Is he saying that we need to all unite and bring in all of our militaries and come against Iran? Or is he saying just send in your transit ships that are taking, whatever they need to go into, supply chain, keep that supply chain open, guys. Just sacrifice your ships if they happen to get hit. There's only one or two missiles here or there. They don't really have that many. Is that what he's trying to tell people? Is that what he's trying to tell other countries that are our allies? Just go ahead and try it, test and see. They're not going to hit you. They're already defeated. 100%. Right? How come we're not going through there then? How come our our warships aren't going through the strait then? What are we waiting for? We're telling them to go through, but we're not really going through. In the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships. I thought they were already destroyed. I thought all the boats and the ships were destroyed. I thought their whole military was complete 100% gone. So why are we destroying more boats and ships out of the water? One way or another, we will soon get the Strait of Hormuz open, safe, and free. But he's telling China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint. It's not artificial. It's a literal blockade. Okay, this isn't like pretend or not real. This is a literal stopping of transit of shipping. He's telling them to go ahead and send ships. I don't know what that means. Like regular ships that are taking cargo, oil, or are you talking about sending in your militaries? Okay, so he's telling China to do it. He's telling France to do it. He's telling Japan to do it. Telling South Korea to do it. He's telling UK to do it. He says, we're there. Come on. It's the water's warm. Just come on in. Jump on in. It's okay. They are out of ammunition. They have no more missiles, or just the little ones that they're maybe a drone or two, but that's about it. That's all they can do. Maybe a short range missile that not going to be a big deal. Well, it's artificial. It's not really. This is not really happening. It's all artificial. Nobody's going to, just in spite of the fact that we just got one of our ships blown up today. I mean, it's totally complete. That's artificial. What you see going on there, that's not real. Come on, bring your ships in. We got to spread the love. Everybody's got to take a hit for the team here. So just send your ships in. I'm sure they won't hit you. They wouldn't dare do that because we're right there to protect you. Are we really even in there? Is our armada of naval power, is it going through the strait? Have we tested it? Have we gone through the strait? Or are we still sitting back waiting because we know that we're going to get hit by something? Can you imagine if they sink one of our warships? What's going to happen if they sink one of our warships? Are they going to pretend like it didn't get sunk? I mean, we've lost 7 C-135s. I heard 7. There was 2 the other day, and I guess there's been more. I don't know. Is that true? Has there been 7 that we've lost? And they all just happen to be accidents or whatever? I mean, what's real here? Are we being told a bunch of lies? Is this much worse than what it really is? Now, I wanted to see that meeting. Honey, did you have the meeting of Bassett when they called Bassett in? I want to see that clip of Bassett, Secretary Bassett, when Trump calls him in. This was yesterday or today. See, Iran warns residents to leave areas near ports in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the UAE. So Iran is now telling everybody, get out of the ports. We're going to bomb the ports. Get out of the ports. We're going to bomb. This is what Iran is now threatening. Listen to this.
Some breaking news to bring you coming to us from Reuters. This will affect people who are living in the UAE. Iran has warned residents to leave areas near various ports, the Jebel Ali port in Dubai, the Khalifa port in Abu Dhabi, and UAE's Fujairah port as well. No more information than that. That is according to Iranian news agencies. Once we know more, we will, of course, bring it to you when we can.
Okay. So there you go. Pretty serious. And then it says Russia, and the reasons Russia and China are very quiet. I thought this was my own thought here. I said to myself, the reason why China and Russia are very quiet is because you never interfere with an enemy while he is in the process of destroying himself. They're like, wow, Trump is the best gift that we've ever had. Keeps on giving, doesn't he? So these guys should know what they're talking about here, these two up here. This guy, I think, is a retired colonel. You might want to check that one out. Australian fuel reserves. Petro, 18 days. Diesel, only 16. Jet fuel, only 14. So in 2 weeks, they're not going to be able to have any flights coming in, going out. They're not going to be able to refuel planes. Prime Minister of Australia said that in 2 to 3 weeks, the country will be without any fuel. Breaking: France to send 10 warships to the Strait of Hormuz after U.S. President Trump called on allies to help reopen key shipping routes. The U.S. Embassy, and see, I guess we don't want to take all the hits and the slings and the arrows. We want other countries to have to lose some of their ships, right? We don't want to lose all our ships. U.S. Embassy in Baghdad tells American citizens to leave Iraq immediately. Immediately get out of Iraq. I thought that we regime changed Iraq. I thought they were our friends. We got bases there. What's going on? What are you talking about? Did the operation there work? Benjamin Netanyahu was noticeably absent from the most recent Israeli security briefing that was held a few hours ago. What is this? This one is Israel runs critically low on interceptors as Iran war grinds on. Israel's long-range defense system is strained, and cluster munitions from Iran are making it worse. U.S. officials told Semaphore the U.S. says it expected this, but now faces its own dilemma. Share interceptors and drain U.S. stocks, or watch Israel's defenses thin out. Do we go in and help Israel, or do we help defend our own selves? What are we going to do? This is the toxic fallout from the Iran war is going to contaminate the region for decades. Missile strikes on fuel facilities near Tehran have unleashed a massive wave of toxic pollutants, posing a serious threat to densely populated areas and threatening the whole region with acid rains already affecting Iran, Bloomberg reports. Tehran's location at the base of the Alborz Mountains traps contaminants and blocks air circulation, which results in hazardous air quality that can persist for weeks or even months, experts said. Any escalation there could trigger an unprecedented catastrophe, given that this zone is packed with critical infrastructure, including refineries, marine oil and gas platforms, and vulnerable nuclear sites, the report adds. Wow. All right, this is when Secretary Bassett was called out of the meeting.
I listened to you on the.
So we're gonna watch this, and let's take a look at. Could this have related to some news that came out of Israel related to Netanyahu either being seriously wounded and/or, as reports are saying, he was taken out? Could this be what this is? I mean, look at this. Tell me, what do you guys think? Look at what happens with Bassett. So this was when he was having his meeting. He's called out, urgently called out of this meeting. It must have been very serious for Trump to have broken into this meeting, to have him called out. Listen.
The president wants you. Sorry, the president wants you for your money.
Oh, okay. Okay. No problem at all. See you shortly, Mr. Secretary.
You can work that in.
Mr. Secretary, I have to say, it's a first, I'm sure a last as well, that an interviewee's been pulled away to go to the Situation Room.
Okay, so he was pulled away from from this interview at 10:22 a.m. He comes back an hour and a half later at 12:07. So a little over an hour and a half he comes back. And listen to what the interviewer says.
To say it's a first, I'm sure a last as well, that an interviewee's been pulled away to go to the Situation Room. How was the president? Was he stressed?
No, the president is in great spirits. The Iranian mission is proceeding well ahead of schedule, and I have to tell you, Wilf, that I've a teenager who's considering military service, and I could give this team my highest compliment, from President Trump to the head of the Joint Chiefs to the Secretary of War. I would say that I would trust my child's life in their hands.
Okay. What? He would trust his child in their hands? Is he talking about sending them to war? Let me hear that again.
How was the president? Was he stressed?
No, the president is in great spirits. The Iranian mission is proceeding well ahead of schedule, and I have to tell you, Wilf, that I've a teenager who's considering military service, and I could give this team my highest compliment, from President Trump to the head of the Joint Chiefs to the Secretary of War. I would say that I would trust my child's life in their hands.
Really? Why is he trying to make a service, an announcement, almost like a recruiting announcement? Like, this is a way to get everybody on board. Like, hey, this is the best thing you can do with your children is send them to war. I'm willing to send my child to war. I would trust him with this government. Are you guys ready? We're going to war, boys and girls. I'm getting ready to send my child to the war. Are you ready? You can trust President Trump and the Department of War with your kids. Just like you can trust the mRNAs. They're good for you. They're going to help you heal cancers and everything else. He does look a little shaken, doesn't he? He does look a little shaken. Doesn't Bassett look a little shaken? Or does he look a little stirred? Which one is it? Stirred or shaken? What do you guys think? Bassett, does he look stirred or does he look shaken? What do you think? All right, well, that's about it. I just kind of wanted to, put that out there to see if you guys had any thoughts on this. Comment below the video. How many of you guys are here right now that I'm looking at some of the comments in the comment section. Let's see what your guys are saying. Shaken but not stirred. Sherry, what's happening? Karen says shaken. Rosemary says lion. He was told to endorse, huh? Uh-oh, I got some more information here. Let's see. What is this? Honey has given me another dew. I have another honeydew here. Let's see what this is. Okay, wow. So that's interesting. That is interesting. I was thinking that, so they were saying that his son was with him supposedly, right? So Netanyahu's son was supposedly there with his dad. This is what I had seen. Now, his son is very vocal online, his Netanyahu's son. He has an X account. And it says here, Red Pill USA, which is a very large outlet, 32,000 followers, 32,000. I'm sorry, 328,000, not 32. 328,000 followers. That's a lot of followers. Says that Yair Netanyahu, which is the son of Bibi, has gone radio silent on X for 6 straight days. This dude was a certified tweet machine. 30 to 40 posts a day, sometimes pushing 50 to 80. Nonstop memes, clapbacks, reposts, you name it. Over 113,000 tweets in his lifetime. He was he had chronic poster energy. Then crickets. Does the silence speak volumes? What is going on with him? That's weird. That is so weird. Look, you guys, what the heck does that mean? What is going on here? Let me look him up. Let's look him up on X. This is him right here. So the last time he was seen on X was March 8th. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, 6 days ago. The last time he posted was March 8th. And look at how many posts that he's done. Let's see, February. Let's see, March 8th, March 8th, March 8th, March 8th. He is a tweet machine. Look at that. 888. Just all kinds of posts just on one day. So they're right. He does post a huge amount every single day. 8. This is still March 8th. March 7th. Let's look at March 7th. This is still the 8th. This is in one day. Okay, so then he goes back to March 7th. He posted something on March 7th. This is still March 8th. He's still posting on March 8th. Look, March 8th. March 8th. So yeah, he posts huge amounts of material. This is the 7th. March 7th, March 7th. Yeah. No, still the 8th, March 7th. Yeah. This is within just a few days. He's posted so much. And now he hasn't said a thing for 6 days. Like literally this is a huge amount of posts every day. Look at that. This is the 5th, 6th. Yeah, I remember that. Trump was McDonald man. Remember that? What did he say about that? Tucker has lost his way. I knew that a long time ago, and he's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. Okay, whatever. So yeah, this was all on the 6th, March 6th. This is March 5th. Still March 6th, March 6th and March 5th. So yeah, he does. This is a track record of how many posts that he does every day. And he'll post, it looks to me like at least 20 to 30 posts a day. This is still March 5th. Look at all the March 5th. So March 6th, March 5th, March 7th, March 8th. So yeah, it's confirmed. At least 20 posts a day. Probably more like 50. And now, all of a sudden, after the 8th, nothing. And he never stops posting. Every day, Netanyahu's son posts 20 to 50 posts a day on X. And now, nothing. What is going on? Something happened. Look, so this is his last post. So something happened. Can we say that's confirmed? Like something really has happened here. Interesting. Very interesting. What do you guys think? What's your thoughts? You think there's something going on here? What do you think? Somebody said, I thought that Netanyahu was in the States. There was reports. Really? There were reports that Netanyahu was in the States. Let me see. Let's see. I don't see that. Mm-mm. No. Not recently. Nope, he hasn't been to the United States recently, and he's not here now, and he's not going to be here, it doesn't look like. No, I don't see anything. So, nope. What else you guys think? Is he finally gone? You got your seeds today? Good, D. What I'm going to do with all those who have gotten seed kits is we're going to have meetings on this. I really want to share with you guys what I'm doing, and as these things begin to grow, because it takes 7 to 14 days, the best way to do it, I think sprouting is great. I've done sprouting a lot, but I think microgreens are what you want to really focus on and learning how to do. And I'll tell you the substrates, I'm going to put substrates for people to what they call growing mediums. So there's different types of growing mediums that you can use. And it causes them to turn to like little small plants. And then you harvest them when they're small, what they call micro greens. They're much safer in terms of not messing them up, because some people, when they do sprouting, they don't do it correctly, and they sometimes will get mold. There's a way to do it. It's not that difficult to not get mold, and I think sprouts are great. But microgreens have much more phytonutrients, and there's that one nutrient that's in the phytonutrients. There's different phytonutrients, I guess. But broccoli has one of the best ones for your body. And I would encourage people to get those, the family of broccoli. I forget what they call it. It's like kale, radish, broccoli. If you can get those in phytonutrient, in the microgreens where they're dense with phytonutrients, that's what your body probably needs the most. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like all of your vegetable intake is condensed into that small amount of, it's like if you ate just a little bit of, I think it's like 100 grams or 200 grams of microgreens is like eating 7 cups of vegetables. Literally, it's condensed into that small amount. So when it gets to the point where the vegetable gets big, so you're eating all that vegetable in a small amount. All the power is in that small microgreen, and you're going to need that, especially with what's coming. I'm going to tell you guys, fertilizers are disappearing. Prices are going to go up on everything. Not to mention the fact that the ones that you do normally afford are not organic. And even if they say they're organic, you can't trust them. They've got glyphosate on everything. If you grow your own organically done setup, like I've got a setup right now, and I've got the lights. I'm setting it up today, putting the lighting in, and I'll show you my setup. And then I've got 1, 2, like I'm looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5. It's on like a cart, and it's got 5 trays, and I'm going to put my lights in there. I've got them all set up right now to put them in there. And then you have your lighting set up. Your lighting is really key. You got to have good lighting, and that way you can rotate and always have a fresh crop coming in. So we're also sprouting seeds for our garden as well. So we want to make sure our garden is going, but we're really focused on, because we don't want to waste money. I mean, we want to try to make and save as much as we can. And when you go to the grocery store and you try to buy, food that's healthy, you're going to spend like thousands of dollars, especially if you've got a big family. And definitely we can't afford to even eat practically. That's why we're trying to grow everything. I do my own chickens. I hatch my own chickens, sprout my own chickens. We got little chicken eggs that turn into big chickens. And you want to get your own chickens now because they're mRNAing. They're mRNAing all the chickens now too. And you don't even know what you're buying in the stores. You know, I posted that video of that woman that worked at Tyson, and she's talking about, she's got all the testimony of what they would tell her to do with the chicken. She worked in the place where they put it into the big sludge. She said that the chickens would come through there and they would be green and pussy, and there would be deep holes in their skin, which is basically cancer. She would tell the boss, and the boss would say, just push it through. Don't be burdening them with all this kind of complaint. You either do it or you're out, right? And so she would just push through these chickens that had all kinds of pus and green and yuck and cancers, and they would just put them into the grinder. Like, you're just literally eating cancer meat. They're cancer meat. And then what they'll do too is when they're feeding, like let's say you got chickens that are laying eggs, what they'll do in order to save money on the feed, when they have dead chickens, they'll grind them up, and because chickens are carnivores, so they'll eat meat. They'll grind up the dead chickens. Doesn't matter. They could have had cancer. They could have all kinds of diseases. They grind them up and they put them in the feed. That's what they do, and it's legal. This is the same thing they were doing with cows. That's where mad cow disease came from. The prion disease that affects the brain, and they start like freaking out, like die of. And then they pass it on to the people that are eating the meat. They're doing the same thing with the cows. A cow would die, they chop it up, they grind it up, they stick it in the meal, and the cows eat it. And so we're buying all of our beef. A lot of our beef now is coming. It's like imported, because the same thing happened with eggs, where eggs just disappeared. They were importing all these eggs to try to lower the prices. Well, Trump's doing the same thing now with beef. So you're getting your beef, your chicken, you can't trust any of it. None of it. Unless you're getting it from organic locations, you got to be very careful with what you're eating now. And you don't want to buy any processed food at all in the stores. So just saying, get your kits. Thank you, Diane. God bless. Get your kits and get set up. We're going to have meetings on this. And we're going to try to keep everybody healthy as well. This is really Make America Healthy right here, what we're doing. And we're praying with, making sure people's spiritual lives are on track so that you can navigate through the dark, dystopian, acid-laden cloud cover that is going to blanket the whole planet if we don't stop. Nuclear winter. It's really weird because we kind of live out in the middle of nowhere. We don't really hear it, planes at all where we live. And last night we heard this loud, it sounded like a missile. It was like really loud plane coming over, but it was like a jet. I don't know. It was really low or something. We never heard anything like that. It was real late at night, and we looked it up on the flight radar because we got that flight radar app that tracks everything. And it was a flight from, I forget what country it was from, but it was coming over our it said 35,000 feet, but it didn't sound like 35,000 feet. It sounded like it was really low. Because it literally, the sound penetrated our house. We never hear things like that. Never. But this one was so loud. And when it said 35,000 feet, I'm thinking 35,000 feet, that's, so high up you can't even see it. It just looks like a little speck. How in the world was that plane so loud? It sounded like a loud missile was flying over the top of our house. And this thing had to have been a lot lower than 35,000 feet because we've never heard that before. So I was thinking when I woke, I was half asleep. It was probably 2 or 3 in the morning. It was probably 2 in the morning. And my wife even heard, she woke up, she came out, and I'm thinking, when I heard it, I thought, is this like a missile? Is this like a military jet flying over the top of our house? I mean, that's how loud it was. It penetrated our walls. So I'm thinking there's something really weird going on. And I don't even know if I trust the flight radar now because that didn't sound right. Military practice with boots on the ground. Where are you at, Karen? Yes, Karen, thank you for praying for everybody. We pray for everybody too. Yeah, we're going to try to get more of a bulk purchase too going here. I got to put the bulk orders up. We want to try to get people back in if they're interested in it here real soon. If we can get those, what do they call the coupons for the solar? I'm trying to set up our solar because we have some solar panels and we have a little solar setup. And we had the EcoFlow, but we don't have it anymore. We sold it. We got generators, but we have a setup that is solar that has everything on it. So all I have to do is make sure I know how to completely use it because I built it a while back. Some of you might have seen the pictures of it. I showed it one time on one of our fellowships, but it was a system that I had built, and it's a pretty powerful setup that could power everything that we need. And it is mobile too, but I need to make sure everything's connected on it because you're going to have to be prepared for, things like power outages. I think there's going to be attacks on infrastructure. I think there's going to be so much, and we still got time. I think there's a little time here, a little window, and I would tell everybody to go get your food. There's talk about price increases, huge jump. And who knows if there's going to be panic in the stores again, like 2020. You don't want to have to chance fighting for the last bag of rice, or toilet paper, whatever, because it turned into an everything shortage. Remember, everything was hard to get. You couldn't even get beef, and there was a lot of things that just disappeared. But can you imagine World War III that it literally turns into something where everybody's panicking and there's no gas coming in, there's no shipments coming in. There's lines at the gas station. People can't get. You remember that dream I told you guys about where somebody was stealing those barrels in my backyard? Remember that? Okay, I think that was a warning dream about people stealing gas. I think it's going to get to the point where gas is going to disappear, and people are going to be desperate for gas. So those barrels to me represented gas in the dream. What was weird is my daughter had a dream about the same day. A question in the chat? What's the question? Amelia Earhart, wannabe? Yeah, Karen, do you know how to fly? Yeah, ADub had gotten an EcoFlow Pro. Those are great. I love the EcoFlows. I definitely love them. I'm trying to see who asked the question. We had a couple of questions. Will seed growing videos be available for those purchasing kits next? Okay, so there are videos currently on the site. If you scroll down, you'll see where it says videos. It looks like you purchased, but it's just a video because I couldn't get an embed in there. So if you click on it, you'll see one shows how to sprout beans, one shows how to sprout alfalfa, because every seed is a little different if you're sprouting. This is just for sprouting. This is not for microgreens. Microgreens I'm going to be doing videos on. The sprouting just is basically how to sprout. And so there's different ways to sprout. You got to soak them for different periods of time. If it's a bean, or if it's a sunflower, or if it's a sunflower seed, or if it's an alfalfa seed or a broccoli seed, and then you got to make sure that they're watered. You don't want to put them on too thick because if you put too thick of a layer, they can get moldy. So if you're sprouting, and you don't want to leave the cover on like a dome, like humidity, because humidity causes. But you want to keep them always moist so that they germinate, and then once they start to grow, you just make sure you water them twice a day. Make sure you give them a good dousing every day, but you never want to keep a real moist kind of humidified environment on sprouts, because sprouting could lead to mold. You don't want to ever get mold on your seeds. But if microgreens, you don't have to worry about that at all. But sprouting, if you do it wrong, there are people that don't do it correctly. The videos will show you how to do it. So you want to definitely make sure you know how to sprout. So you got to get a little skill set there. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Just take a little time to learn. And but we're going to show people on our end how to do microgreens. Microgreens, I think, are the place you want to be in terms of nutrition, long-term foil, what do they call it? Your plant intake is so important. You don't want to just be eating a bunch of carbs and protein. You definitely have to have a balance with the greens. In fact, you want to get as much greens as you can. And if you know how to forage, there's certain things that are in every location around the country. If you get a book on what you can forage, back in the Depression days, people actually lived off of foraging. You can find things in your own backyard that are really good to eat, like things like dandelion. Dandelions are great. You can use them in salads if you know how to, clean them and make sure they're clean. There's all kinds of things that are probably just growing out in your backyard, especially if you're in a place where there's a lot of trees and, there's nearby forests or things like that. Depending on which region you're in, you can get a book on different indigenous edible plants that are growing wild around your location and how to identify. You want to make sure you identify them and know what you're getting. You don't want to eat something that you're not sure of. You want to make sure that you know what you're eating if you're foraging. There are certain mushrooms you can go find and forage. We've got these mushrooms that you can get that are called what are they called again, honey? Those ones that everybody goes after. They're really expensive, but people go out and they look for them. Morels. Have you ever heard of a morel mushroom? You go out and get morels, and by the pound, especially if they dry them, they're so expensive. You can go out and find them yourself. Go out and get a bunch of mushrooms that you can eat. Make sure you get the right ones. You don't want to buy, go out and get ones that are going to kill you. But mushrooms are really good. Start your own garden if you know how to garden. I know there's a lot of people out here that are listening to me that might not live in a place where they can garden. So that's why we're talking about microgreens, because basically you're growing an inside garden and you can grow it 24/7, 365 days a year. And all you need is a couple big bags of seeds. I mean, literally a 10-pound bag of seeds will last you probably a year or more, probably more than a year. Even two people, because all you're taking is like a tablespoon or two of seeds. And when you do a tablespoon, it'll make a big crop, this high, this wide, and that'll last you, a good couple days, 3 days, 4 days, depends on how much you eat. And then you just do another one the next week. So 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of seeds, bam, you've got a nice sized crop. And, if you go to the store, and I've done this, I go to the store and I look in the section where usually the health food section, and you look at like sprouts or even microgreen section where they already cut them and they put them in a little box, a little box like this, a few ounces, like $7 for a few ounces of just a little box that's already cut. Sprouts in a little bag, like $10 for a bag of sprouts, $10. That's a huge amount of money compared to what you can do for pennies. You could make a $10 bag of sprouts for probably 10 cents, 20 cents in seed that you buy. If you buy a bulk amount of seed, it'll probably take you 10, 20 cents, 30 cents at the most, and you'll have a $10 bag of sprouts. Why buy it? $10 when you can make it yourself. Just have a rotating system set up where you got one batch going, and then a day or two later you got another batch, because sprouts you can harvest within 2 to 4 days. So if you do sprouts correctly, they'll be done in 2 days. If you like, alfalfa grows really quick. Broccoli is pretty quick too, 2 to 4 days. But microgreens are going to be 7 to 14. So microgreens are the ones that once you get past the 7-day period is when they start becoming really dense with phytonutrients or phytonutrients. That's when they're getting all of that power is going into the actual plant. And that's when you eat it, when you harvest it at that point, you're getting a huge boost. Now, sprouts already have it in them too, but the dense amounts happen between 7 and 14 days. That's why I say it's important to do, the microgreen. Somebody said lentils. Yeah, lentils are good too. Beans, lentils. So we've got lentils. We do have lentils. We have bean sprouts. We got different kind of bean sprouts that you can get. Beans, and we're building our inventory right now. So I want to make sure I have everything set up because we want to make sure we can supply everybody with what they need. Yeah, sprouts are so expensive. I know. Anyways, that's just to give you guys a little heads up. And I just think that's just something that everybody should be thinking about, called food security. You want food security? You want food peace of mind? You want food peace and security? Because sudden destruction is coming. This is where you need to be right with your health, right? Making sure that you do as best you can with what you got. And, I know it's hard to do gardening. Most people, especially if you're in a city, you're not going to be doing a garden. But you can have a microgreen garden in a little small area. If you got like a shelving system and some lights, you'll be taking care of all of your vegetable intake can be taken care of at a very good price, where you're not spending. I mean, I've gone to the store, and I'm telling you, we have to choose many times. Are we going to buy organic and spend like $100 on just a small little bag of veggies, or we're going to spend like $30 and get the ones that's glyphosate laden, chemical laden, pesticide laden? It's all infused. Do we serve our kids food that's got potential cancer outcome in it, or do we go to the organic and spend 3 times more? I mean, just grow your own. If you can grow your own, and go to your local farmers market, find some farmers that are near you, and start getting into their little co-ops. If they got a little co-op, make sure you get connected where you can get regular food. Get a place that does their own chickens. They free range them. They give them organic food. That way, they're not feeding them dead chickens. And so you're eating real eggs that don't have all kinds of potential pathogens inside of them. Who knows what's in them? Who knows what you're eating? The remnants of dead chickens, cancerous chickens. You don't want to be eating that stuff. And then the beef. I'm looking at this beef at the store, and I'm like, it's cheap. And then there's this other beef that's local, and it's done a certain way, and it's like twice as expensive. Like I looked at a piece the other day. I went to the store and I looked at some beef. It was a tenderloin. It was about this long, and it was about this thin. It was about this thin, and it was about this long. About that much. Maybe it weighed like 3 or 4 pounds. Maybe. It was almost $200. I'm not kidding. It was $178. I said, look at this. I showed my wife. I said, look at this beef. $178, and it was like this long, and it was about that thick. It looked like a big long. They call it a tenderloin. I could not believe it. Like, seriously, almost $200 for that piece of beef. I was like, man, how are people going to survive? But if you get the cheaper one, it's like $100. Like, why is it cheaper? What did they do to this beef? Why does this beef look so much better than this beef? This beef doesn't look anything like this. It's cheaper. It's half the price. I wonder why. Like, where is it coming from? What country? Who imported it? This is Donald Trump's beef, because Donald Trump says he brought down beef prices. He's bringing them down, just like he brought down egg prices, because he imported all the eggs from, I don't know, I think it was Turkey. Didn't we import a bunch of eggs from Turkey? And so now the price came down. Well, we're going to import all of our beef now. Didn't we used to be a beef exporter? Didn't we used to be a country that exported beef? Why do we have to import beef now? Like, where is it coming from? What's in it? how do they, what's their regulations? Do they have like a USDA? I don't even trust the USDA anyway. Like, I don't even trust what goes into our beef, let alone some other country, like some other foreign country. I'm not going to trust anything. I mean, like, seriously. D grew up with a 40 by 40 garden and a massive canning. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, we had a lot of tomatoes, and we froze all our tomatoes, but we need to can them because we didn't eat all the tomatoes. We got to make tomato sauce out of them. So they say that if you freeze them, and then after you thaw them out, then you can take the skin off real easy, and then you can make tomato sauce out of them. So we've got a bunch of tomatoes from last year that we still need to can, or at least turn into tomato sauce. Learn how to process meat. Yes. Did you ever process it, Debbie, with salt and smoking it? Because there's ways that you can do it where you smoke and salt it, and then you don't ever, you can store it for long periods of time. You process the meat, or you can put it in cans. There's a lady on YouTube that's from some other country, and I think she's Russian, but she shows how they did it for the war, or during World War II. She's an older lady, and she'll can beef, and she'll put all the stuff in it, and then she just puts it in a jar, and then bam, it's sealed up, and they heat it up, and it seals it, and you can save it. And it's like it's cooked in that. I don't know if they cook it first and then they stick it in there. I don't know. It's something that I would love to do. Yeah, hydroponics is what it is. So these are actually hydroponic trays. So the trays sit within a basin, and they actually are hydroponic, where you can put water in the basin. And so when the root system starts to grow, it then wicks up the water from the basin. So that's what we have as our hydroponic tray, right? And you can put the grow medium right on the top, or, substrate, they call it, if it's not actually dirt. But you don't even need it. If you don't have to put the dirt in there. I think there's extra added nutrients that will come from true, dirt or soil, good soil that's got a lot of, what they call amendments to it, or whatever's in it. You could fertilize it. You can put some fertilizer in there, some organic fertilizer, and then it feeds the plant, right? It'll feed the plant. It'll give it more nutrients. But then if it's got a water basin, then you don't have to water it. You put the water in the basin, and then you can just let it go for a couple days, and it'll just suck the water right up. You don't even have to water it. Compost, yeah, compost. A team of bad guys will roll your farm in 5 minutes and take all your food. Yep. You don't name the J in the, you didn't name the J in the now. I'm not sure what you mean. But it's true. You got to protect your garden. That's why we got booby traps set all around our garden. No, I'm kidding. We're like Home Alone. We're like the kid in Home Alone, where he set all the booby traps. They're like, we got to get those tomatoes. Oh, those watermelons look so good. They'll fall into a big old hole. We got it all set up. They don't want to come steal our food. Yes, absolutely, Melissa. Start with Sprouts. Sprouts is good. Sprouts is easy. And I'll even make videos on doing sprouting too, because I do Sprouts. We do the Sprouts. But yeah, my wife's got to she's going to be the one that's holding the camera. How's that? I'm setting everything up right now. Right now, I'm just setting everything up. The lighting system, I'll show you guys, see if we can get the lighting system up there too. There's a certain way to do it so that it's, depending on your setup, we'll talk about the setups. There's a lot of good videos that you can look at on this topic. but we want to try to make sure we can, help everybody along the way as well. But this is the place you want to be focused on, I think, and try to get set up as quickly as possible. I want to try to help as many people, too, as we can, and get people. The information is very important. Knowing what you're doing and then doing it and being motivated to do it. Don't just think about it. Don't just think I'm going to do it. Or even some people will buy certain things and they'll just let them sit there and they won't do anything. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I do that, but I do it because I'm like, I don't got time because I got to make sure I got other things taken care of. When it all hits the fan and everything shuts off, I got a lot of time. I got all those videos I compiled. So if I need to know how to do it, just go back to those videos and watch. Hey, there's no internet. All I got is a device that can access my files. And then I got all the time in the world to figure out how to do everything. I got all these things that I want to do this project. I want to do this project. I got this project. I got this project. Well, now I've got all the time in the world because there is no internet. And there's big mushroom clouds off in the distance. So we got all the time in the world to figure out how to do everything. All right? So anyways, I would say do it. Don't just, get into actually being motivated to do it, and don't just think about it. Think, oh, that's a good idea. Because as you're doing things, as you're actually hands-on learning, it's called muscle memory. You got to get out there and do it. Then you know how to do it. Next time it'll be easy. It'll be easier. You'll learn things as you do it. Sometimes people think, oh, I just need a teacher. And it's true. Sometimes it's good to have someone that kind of guides you and motivates you a little bit and shows you a little bit how to do certain things. And that's why YouTube videos are really important. Like if you're trying to learn something, you watch somebody do it. And then you can go out and you can do it. But you got to try it because there's a little trial and error. And it is a muscle memory thing. You get out there and you actually get your body to actually do it. And then you figure out, oh yeah, okay, now I know what I'm doing. But you gotta be willing to risk and take some time, make mistakes, but get out there and try to figure it out. I made a mistake, I'll do it right the next time. So that way you get refined in what you're doing, and then you can do it without even thinking, without a second thought. You can do it in your sleep. And then after that, you could do it so quickly that you move on to some other thing, and you got it down pat. You could teach somebody else how to do it. One of your kids, get somebody else to do. Hey, this is how you do it. Show them how to do it. Then you can move on to something else, right? You got to just build a network of things that you're doing that are going to sustain not only your own life but your own family, maybe somebody else. Maybe you'll be able to help other people, in your neighborhood or in your community. Maybe you could help teach other people what they need to learn so that they can do what they need to do to survive. Because I'm going to tell you what, we all need to be helping each other, especially when this really hits the fan. Oh, Lord, there's just so much bad news. We could focus on all the bad news and not do anything. I'm just thinking we got to start doing something in order to, cut off at the pass the fear and the terror that's going to probably be coming upon people suddenly when all this stuff does really hit. It's already hitting the fan. I mean, people don't realize this is a slow motion train wreck, but at certain points there's like catastrophic failures. That's when the stock market crashes suddenly 3,000 points. Oh my gosh. Or we're hit with some kind of major event here on the homeland. And then another one. And then another one. And everybody said terrified. That's what they call terror, right? And then everybody panics. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go run to the store, run to the gas station. This is what they're doing in other countries right now. They're running to the gas stations, and the gas stations are out of gas. There's food runs. Food riots are beginning. A lot of the poor countries right now. It's happening in a lot of the poor. Because see, what happens is the food chain, right? The poorer countries are the ones that get it hit first. So you start watching. It's kind of like when the bees die out. The worker bees, what happens? Eventually, you're not going to have food. When the worker bees are gone, then it works its way up the food chain, and then your food isn't being pollinated anymore. You're not having any produce. There's nobody to pick your crops anymore. They're saying AI could do it, but it's not. Oh, what happened? Oh, I don't know. Miscalculation. Whoops. We thought that it was safe, but it ended up killing millions. Billions, maybe billions. We thought it was safe and effective, but we made a mistake. It was an emergency. We didn't know what else to do. We had to get it out there so people wouldn't die, right? So they're telling you things that are getting you into a place where you're not sure. Like you're not sure. Like what so you got to be ready, and you got to be wise enough to see through the smoke and the mirrors, the lies, because what they're telling you, you should be able to discern. When you got somebody trying to sell you something and there's just something about this person, they sound like a used car. Like I say that about Trump. He sounds like a used car salesman. It sounds like he's got an alternative or an alternative agenda? What do they call it? An alternate agenda? There's some other something going on in the back of his head that I don't trust. And so I feel like we're being sold something that's not legit. And I would not put my trust in where we're going, where he's leading. Just like I wouldn't the Democrats, like the Democrats, same thing. People are like, well, what are you, a Democrat then, Robert? No, I'm not. I'm not anything. I'm not putting my trust in anything what they're saying. So the best thing you can do is try to become as self-sustaining, self-independent. I say independent, with your food, with your source of food, and interdependent within a community. Have interdependent relationships where people are needing something that you can do, where you become an essential part of what's happening in your community. You want to make sure you're connected locally. You can do it online, but the online thing could disappear. I mean, just look at what happens when wars break out. Countries are under the gun, and what happens? Their internet goes out. They have no communication. What do you think people in Iran are going through right now? They have no ability to communicate with each other. They might have an intranet within their own country that they might still have access to. I don't know. But the internet itself is not working. Okay. So how do you communicate? Do you have a local, what's the word I'm looking for? Not infrastructure, but community. I mean, a network. That's what I'm looking for. The network. Do you have a network of people that you're connected to in some way where you could say, hey, I need this or I need that. I need this. Do you know where I can get this? I have this, but I need this. Is there anything? So you got to be able to see there's communities that will set up, whether it's food banks or a lot of times, it depends on what kind of a city it is, but sometimes in your more rural areas, there's more of a community feel where people are trying to actively help each other. And they're dependent on, trade. They might have chickens, somebody might have cows, they might have milk. One person has eggs, one person has produce, and they all meet, and they're used to having a farmer's market, and they build networks, and everybody knows who everybody is to some degree. That they get to kind of know people, and so you gotta find that kind of community where you kind of get plugged in, where you got a resource. Because if you're in a place where you're just isolated and all you find for your information and your connections are online, you're kind of vulnerable, because when everything, if and when it does go down, where everything does get shut off, like let's just say your electricity goes out. You don't have any access to the internet. Well, you're offline for 2 weeks. Something bad happens. What are you going to do? You got to think about that kind of scenario. Well, if you have alternate power, you can power everything back up. If it's a sun thing, like a solar thing, or if it's a generator thing, you might have a bunch of, gas or diesel. You have a diesel generator. You have a propane generator. You can store up a lot of propane. Have a 500-gallon propane tank out in the backyard. You can connect a propane generator, and you can have electricity for many months, probably half a year or more. Anytime you need an electrical charge to charge up a battery bank, you just turn on that generator, charge up your battery bank, charge up some things in the house, and then bam, you've got your battery bank all set up, and you start using the batteries. But that generator out there is going to give you power for a long period of time. Now, like propane, you want to get propane pretty quick because everything is going up. Propane's going up. It's going to be set to go. I don't even know if it's gone up again, but they're saying it's going to go up hugely. Same thing with gas. Gas hasn't gone up the way I think it's going to go up. I think it's going to go up a lot more. I saw gas go up last night about $5 a barrel. Let me see. I think the markets are closed right now, right? Yeah, so the markets are closed. Yesterday it went in just 9:30 to in about, what was that? 7 hours. In 7 hours, it went from $92 a barrel to $97 a barrel. That was in just 7 hours yesterday. It just went straight up. So we're getting close to $100 barrels again. Now, this is just crude oil futures, but there's different types of crude. And with all the attacks happening right now, I mean, just look at what happened with Citibank. They targeted 3 different Citibanks, completely on fire. I mean, guys, think about what this means to even our financial system. Our financial global network is being attacked, and it's not stopping. And Trump is saying that they're completely destroyed, but yet they're doing all this still. Like, it doesn't connect. It doesn't make sense. You're talking crazy talk. You're listening to someone that's telling you something that's not true. So what else is not true? What else is not true? Well, obviously the Epstein file thing wasn't true, right? That was a hoax. Like, really? You're going to believe somebody that tells you stuff like that? Really? And you're going to base your preparations on whether or not you're ready for something bad because he said everything's going to be fine? Not me. That makes me want to prepare all the more. That makes me want to get ready even more when he says things are going to be just fine. When he says peace and security, I'm preparing for sudden destruction. When he builds a board of peace and he's the chairman of that board of peace, I'm hunkering down for bad stuff to go down. All right? When he says everything's fine with our meat farmers, I'm thinking, got to get a cow, got to get some extra meat somehow. We got to grow our own beef. Or when they say chickens are good and we're going to take care of all the chickens. No, don't worry. You're going to have some eggs. I'm thinking, better get our own eggs because they're going to do something to them. What are they doing to the eggs? What are they doing to the chickens? Now, I heard they're culling chickens again. And this whole thing about bird flu is coming back with a vengeance. In the last 2 weeks, I can't even tell you all the stories. And this is on the back end of all the, World War III. So, we're not giving it attention that it deserves because World War III is upon us. And we're not even talking about all this other stuff that we should be talking about because it's affecting everything. Now, I posted a video on Telegram. And if you go to Telegram and you look at that video about California and the preparation for this safe internet and what it means, this is a programmer. This is an IT guy. This guy knows what he's talking about. He's telling everybody that this is a prelude for the whole country going into a digital ID. They're setting the groundwork. They just passed a law. They just passed some bill in California, and California is going to be the place where they roll it out first. So you go watch that video and then realize how that's going to affect everything that we do, even in our own homes, because everything is based on computer interface now. Even your car, your smartphones, your smart TVs, your smart refrigerators, your smart thermostats, everything is connected to some type of software. And this is all going to have everything to do with the digital ID. Really, you're not going to be able to do anything if you don't have a digital ID. You are going to be considered a non-citizen or some kind of terrorist if you don't submit to it. And this is all coming very quickly. So go check out that video that I posted. In fact, it's called Let me just see if I can pull it up here. Did I put it up here? I thought I put it on here. No? Oh, it's on the YouTube channel. Oh, no, here it is. Yeah. So it's a digital ID is being rolled out in California right now. It's on this channel. So if you look on our YouTube channel here and you look at the last posted video, the title of the video is Digital ID is being rolled out in California now. Now, he goes through the preliminaries of how it's being rolled out. It's all for the children. Yes, it's always the children, right? But it's really not for the children. It's not about safety. It's not about securing children's safety. Though they portray it as if it is. But what they're doing is they're laying the infrastructure for all the other things they're going to do on the back end. So this is all in preparation for what they're about to do once they lay out the infrastructure. It's just like I told you about digital currencies. They paid all these people off hugely. I'll give you an example. So when PayPal first started, this is a perfect example. When PayPal first started out, and you remember who was in PayPal? I think Peter Thiel was in it, and then also Elon Musk, right? When it first rolled out. At that time, I was doing eBay stuff, and I was younger, and there was, I was looking, kind of in collectibles at the time, and I was selling Pokemon cards because they were a really big deal at the time. It was just a big fad. And, you had one little card that might have been worth $1 or $2. The kids were buying up just individual cards. And so I was selling those cards. I had a guy that was from Japan that was, getting me boxes of Pokemon cards that were from Japan, and everybody wanted those. So they were kind of like a special niche. And so I got these cards and I would put them on eBay. But if you got somebody to sign up to PayPal, they would give you $10. But listen to this. This is how it works. This is why PayPal grew to become the biggest online money. What do they call it? Exchange for currencies and money transfers online. They were the big. They still kind of are, I think. But there's a lot of other competitors now. But PayPal grew so quick, and the reason they grew so quick was because they were paying people $10 per sign up. If you referred somebody was referred to you, they would give you $10. So I was selling cards for 50 cents, $1, putting it in a 10 cent, 20 cent envelope or whatever it was, 30 cents, and sending it to them. And I said to them, hey, if you sign up with PayPal, I'll give you the card free. So I got hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands, I don't know. I sold a lot of cards, of people that would sign up to PayPal because I told them, because it was brand new. All these people were signing up to PayPal, and I was getting a $10 fee every time for a 50-cent card, a $1 card, right? Boom. They sign up, I get free, $10, $10. Everybody was like, yeah, I'll do it. $10 free? You're going to send me the card for free? Really? Yeah. But you just sign up under PayPal. And so PayPal grew because of people like me, right? They saw the opportunity. Same thing with Bitcoin. Well, they paid people off. Here, you're going to get rich. Just tell everybody how awesome it is. Well, they made a whole bunch of Bitcoin millionaires, right? That's what they call the Bitcoin millionaires, right? And so everybody was making money in the beginning, getting into Bitcoin when it was, $100 a coin or $150 a coin. It went up to $1,000 a coin. People were buying in when it was $1,000. And then when it went up, 20,000 people were rich. They were getting rich. They bought 50 coins at a couple $100, and all of a sudden now they're millionaires, right? And so people were, it's the same concept as when you go into a casino and one person or two people are winning. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody gets excited. They're putting in their money. Yeah, I got to get mine too. Oh, that one just won. Oh, that one won. Oh, this is how it's a psychological thing. Well, this guy's getting millionaires. This guy's getting millions. This guy's getting millions. Just let's build it. Get into it now. Everybody's getting into it. They're paying you to build the infrastructure that you basically provided the digital prison infrastructure for the whole world because everybody was paid to do it, right? They paid everybody, got them in, built the infrastructure, and now you basically built your digital prison. Now they're going to pull it away. They're going to take away all that profits, the people that had made, whatever profits they had, they probably will be able to keep it. But then there's going to be this big shift in currency, right? Everything's going to shift. They're going to lock everything down. They're going to say it's a cyber attack and it's not secure anymore. Now we're going to take over the critical infrastructure of what is blockchain. The blockchain has been laid out because people in Bitcoin built it. They mined, they did all the things that caused the critical infrastructure for this financial system to be laid out. And that's what they did. They paid everybody off to build the beast system. And they did it with money by incentives like, hey, you're going to get rich. So that's what's happening. That's what's happened. And now you're going to have to be a part of it with the digital ID, and you're not going to get paid if you don't go along with it. You're not going to exist. You're not going to be able to exist. You're going to be outside of society, right? You're going to be outside of what they say is society. Now, is America going to continue? I think what we're about to see, though, is financial chaos. This is going to roll out before this comes into play. I think what's going to happen is the economy is going to crash. The monetary system is going to change into a digital system. And they're going to, like, if you've got cash, let's say you've got cash in the bank, it could be that they, and I've heard people say they can, they're going to turn it into tokenized cash, and you're going to lose value on it. There's a lot of different things that could happen. Depends on what happens with, the government and whether or not America goes through some really bad crises. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen. That's why I say, if you got money stashed in the bank and you got a lot of money in there, be careful, because it'd be better that if you had tangible assets, that you personally had possession of, that would be a safer bet. But, even then, people that have a lot of money, I don't know what they just worry about all that money, losing it. That's all they think about is, I'm going to lose this. What am I going to do with it? What's the best thing I can do with it? Like they're so consumed with what they've got and we're worried about losing it. Whereas a poor person doesn't think about that kind of stuff. Don't worry about losing anything. Don't have anything to lose. Don't you have things to do? Not sure. Let's see. Somebody asked me a question here. Let me see here. I live in California, and I haven't heard nothing. And newsflash: gas was only $8 a gallon. Was only $8 a gallon. Was only at one gas station. Period. Okay, so the one gas station in California. I know a lot of people are talking about that, and I figured there's certain places in California where gas is going to be exorbitantly higher, especially in the higher end areas. You're probably seeing already $6 a gallon. I think regularly you're in California, you're probably seeing, because they got a tax on top of their gas too. So I'm guessing gas in California is probably like $5 to $6 a gallon right now. But I bet you in certain areas it's already $7 and it's getting up there. There are places that are $8. But here real soon, as things degenerate, and things are degenerating, I hope you can see it, it's only going to get worse. And if Trump somehow releases all kinds of, resources that we have, which are strategic oil reserves, then it might keep the price from really spiking really fast. But I think it's still going to continue to rise. I don't think that there's anything that's going to stop from what's happening globally. Am I getting the ID? No, I'm not getting the ID. No way. Why would I want to get the ID? I mean, are you going to get the ID, A-Dub? I'm looking at the text. I'm not getting no ID. And I talk about digital ID. I mean, to me, that's like opening the door for everything else. Like you're just making it that much more difficult down the line. I don't know, like how do you, really, I don't know. We can use chicken nuggets as currency. They're golden. Like really, seriously, Let me see. I'm looking at some of your guys' comments here. What happened with Citibank? Well, Citibank's, Melissa, three different Citibank locations in UAE, is Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, were hit by drones, and one of them was a high-rise tower, and the whole thing just blew up. So they're targeting U.S. interests. Just understand, they're going to be targeting U.S. interests like Google. They said they were going to go after Google, Palantir locations, Google locations, Amazon locations. They're going to go after U.S. banks around the world. They're going to use those as targets, just so you know. It's going to affect everything. Let me just, I'm kind of going back here looking at some of your old questions here. Hold on. Truth is the first casualty of war. Very, 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 that's very true, Karen. Very true. $6 a gallon in Oakhurst? What? That's expensive, Scott. Yep. It's going to go up. It's going to go up more than that. That's a lot of money, I'm telling you. And just wait till it goes to 8 to 10 in Cali. What are you going to do when it's $10, Scott? $10 a gallon. Then what do you do? I mean, think about it. A barrel of oil, not even a month ago, was under $60. And now we're almost getting to be at half, like twice as much. So think about your prices being, they were $3 a gallon. They're going to be $6. They may be more than that. They might, if you were at $3.50 a gallon, it's going to be around $7. Now, if it goes up another, $150 a barrel, then you're looking at, $6, $7, you're looking at $8 a gallon, easy, average. This isn't just in one location. You're looking at average price around California, $8 a gallon. And then in the higher location areas, you're going to see easy 10, where those areas where they're really rich or hard to get or higher taxed, or they're gouging. They want to gouge a little bit extra because they're not making enough. You're going to see easy 10. So $150 a gallon or barrel, it's coming. It was already at 120, and I'm telling you, it's going to go back up. If they don't stop this Strait of Hormuz thing from happening, they're already releasing a huge amount of our oil reserves. And those oil reserves need to be replenished because those are for only a time of war. And we've already had half of those things eaten up by the Biden administration. Trump hasn't filled them up. He's now depleting what's left. And when you deplete what's left to keep the prices low, to keep everybody happy, everybody thinking that everything's fine because, the prices of gas are not that bad. They're not that bad. They could be worse. Well, yeah, if they didn't deplete the strategic oil reserves and we're in World War III and it doesn't stop and it keeps going, and everything that Trump said is not true, that their military is still very active, and they still do have a lot of missiles, and they still do have the ability to stop the Strait of Hormuz, and it doesn't, and maybe Netanyahu isn't there anymore, if that's true, we live in a different world. It's a different reality than Trump's. All right, Trump is not who people think he is, and many people in MAGA are saying this now. This is not the Trump that I voted for. He's betrayed me. Why are people saying that all over? Because he wasn't telling them the truth. He's not telling you the truth. It's kind of like that whole idea. Truth is relative. Depends on what's going on at the moment. Truth can be truth in a different moment than this truth in this moment. So I just kind of morph my truth to fit the moment of what's expedient politically and or what benefits me. Really, it's all about me, the big me. That it's not about you. It's not about, oh yeah, I'm doing this for you. I'm taking the slings and arrows for you. Yeah, right. Tell me that I could have been plush in my lifestyle as a billionaire. I didn't need to do this. I didn't need to become president. Well, the dude has tripled his net worth since he's been in office. More than tripled. I bet you it's even more than that. His portfolio has increased under his sons and daughters in business that's connected to him by huge, okay? If it wasn't self-interest, don't tell me some altruistic Trump. Trump is not altruistic. Do you really believe that? He is filled with so much self, it ain't even funny. He's got the biggest ego on the planet. Bar none. And he thinks that's a compliment. If you told him that he had the biggest ego on the planet, he probably would say it's a compliment. Does anybody here have a good med company? I was looking into the wellness company. Yeah, you're talking about people that are these companies that supply, and I would say that's important too. Get antibiotics. There's companies where you can pre-order or you can get antibiotics for a future problem that could come about. Like, let's just say there's no more antibiotics coming in because they're saying medications are going to be affected with what's happening. They're already in peril because of our relationship with China. It's not the best, and it could on a moment's turn on a dime because of what's going on right now. But we get a lot of pharmaceuticals, especially antibiotics, from China. And India is a part of that too. But let's just say antibiotics disappear. You're definitely going to want to have a little bit of extra antibiotics for whatever reason. An infection can cause you to die if you're not able to stop an infection. So antibiotics are important. You should have a little bit of antibiotics. Yeah, petroleum. AW is right. Petroleum is in everything, and if there's a problem with petroleum, then it's going to affect the production of medications. They say. Yeah, Mike Adams, he has some stuff. You take a lot of meds, Gillian. Yeah, take it. There's a lot of natural things you can do too for things that if you have cancer. I've looked at a lot of different things that, with all the different research that I've done. there's a lot of things that people can do without having to take, what do they call it? Chemo. There's if you go on Eric Berg, you know who Dr. Eric Berg is. He's great. He talks about SCOT inhibitors and things that you can do. We talked about this a while back. You got to find this videos on Rumble though. They don't allow it on YouTube for some reason. I guess they say it's you kind of wonder why they won't allow this kind of content on YouTube. But if you go on to Rumble and you go on Dr. Eric Berg's channel, it's BERG, Eric Berg, and you look up SCOT inhibitor, there's research that he's done, and he's got testimonials of people that have had very late stage cancers that have been completely healed. One guy had it all throughout his whole system, and his lymphatic, everything in his whole lymphatic system was cancerous, and they wanted to just cut out every one of his cancerous, what do they call them, the lymph nodes, and he decided not. No, he fasted. He took all these different ingredients that are what they are called SCOT inhibitors, and ultimately he beat it. It completely gone out of his body. And you got to wonder, well, how did that happen? What was it that he did? There was another guy that had a testimony very similar that had a different type of cancer that was stage 4 or 3 or 4. It was really late stage. And he ultimately reversed the cancer as well. But they took certain things, and he says it's better, and it's mostly natural. Because a lot of times people die just from chemotherapy. Chemotherapy kills people, when they're going through the chemo. It weakens their whole system, and then they end up dying just from that. SCOT inhibitors, yeah. I think it's SCOT. I'm not sure if there are 2 T's. I think it's SCOT. Yeah, if you go, let me just see if I can find it for you. Eric Berg. Yeah, but they won't allow it on YouTube. Isn't that interesting? He had to put it on. Yeah, this is one testimony. So he had stage 3 colon cancer. This is just one of the testimonies, to no detected colon cancer within 4 months. And what he did was this guy here, he basically fasted, and then he took all these different SCOT inhibitors. Okay, so here, I'll show it to you. There's a couple different ones here. This was posted 3 months ago. So anybody out there that's having problems with cancer, I would say check out the research of Eric Berg on this. And here, I'll see if I can find another one here. This might be the other one. Yeah, this guy here. This is another amazing testimony. This one's called From Worst Case Cancer to Best Case Scenario, No Cancer. This guy had cancer all throughout his lymphatic system. Listen to this. He had cancer all throughout his whole lymphatic system. And then he basically fasted. I can't remember how many months. He fasted for a long time, but he took a lot of these inhibitors. So you want to check that out. Chemo will kill you. Chemotherapy in and of itself is very bad. I mean, it harms the body even. I mean, some people say that it's killed the cancer. There are people that said that they've benefited in some way from chemo and that it somehow didn't kill them, but it also got rid of the cancer. But I don't know. Trump just declared what? An emergency act? What do you mean? Trump just declared an emergency act? Ada, what is that? Let me see. What happened? Let's see. 20. I'm looking to see what you're talking about there. Did that just happen? Trump administration invokes emergency powers to restart oil operations off of California. So what they're doing is they're saying, yeah, it's a time of war, and federal government's taken over. It doesn't matter what California says. We're gonna start oil exploration, no matter what the environmentalists say, right? No matter what the environmentalists say. Trump administration invokes emergency powers to restart oil operations off California coast. The Energy Department cited U.S. military dependence on foreign oil. Oh, so we're dependent on foreign oil? Really? I thought we were independent. I thought we were completely an energy independent nation. Isn't that what Trump said? Energy Secretary Chris Wright on Friday, that was yesterday, hit back at two of the Trump administration's top antagonists: oil supply disruptions brought on by the war in Iran and California Governor Gavin Newsom. Wright issued an order paving the way for a company operating off the California coast to restart an oil pipeline that state officials have kept offline since 2015. The Energy Department framed it as a way to ease reliance on oil imports through the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway for oil tanker traffic that the war has choked off. What? I thought we were energy independent already. I thought we were an oil exporting nation. Why would we need to be oil dependent? In a time of war, we're dependent? According to Energy Secretary Chris Wright. So, quote, today, more than 60% of the oil refined in California comes from overseas, with a significant share traveling through the Strait of Hormuz, presenting serious national security threats, the department wrote in its announcement. Wright said in a statement that the move would strengthen oil supply and restore a pipeline system vital to our national security and defense, ensuring that the West Coast military installations have the reliable energy critical to military readiness, unquote. Wright's directive invoked the Defense Production Act, a 1950 law that gives the president broad powers over domestic industry in the interest of national defense. President Donald Trump signed an executive order early Friday that delegated some of his authority under the law to the Energy Secretary, opening the door to Wright's move. Newsom was quick to push back against the Trump administration's justification. Quote, Donald Trump started a war, admitted it would spike gas prices nationwide, told Americans it was a small price to pay, and now he's using this crisis of his own making to attempt what he's wanted to do for years: open California coast for his oil industry friends so they can poison our beaches, unquote, Newsom said in a statement. He called the attempt to restart the pipeline illegal and said that it wouldn't lower prices by a cent due to the fact that oil prices are set on the global marketplace. Oh, wow. Exactly. What it's going to do is it's going to make a bunch of money for people because the prices are going to go up. Our prices aren't going to go down. Even if they're getting all kinds of oil out of the United States, our prices are still going to stay the same. But they're going to, the oil tycoons are going to be, and all the people that are invested are going to be the ones that make the money for a rising price. They want prices to rise. Actually, Trump said the other day that it's a good thing that prices rise. He said it's a good thing that prices rise because we're an oil exporter. That's what he said. Did you read that? I read that the other day. He said that on his Truth Social, I think 2 days ago. Let's see. Let me read it. Let's see what Trump said about oil here. I think he said it yesterday. Tuesday? Was that? Okay, so it was... America is returning to real energy dominance. He said this on Tuesday. This was March 10th, so 4 days ago. America is returning to real energy dominance. Today, I am proud to announce that America First Refining, it should have been America's First Refining. Oh, okay, it's a company. Yeah, that's right. The company's called America First Refining. He's proud to announce that it's opening the first new U.S. oil refinery in 50 years in Brownsville, Texas. I wonder if he has any investment in that, or his sons or somebody. I wonder who is behind this America First Refining company. He said the biggest in U.S. history, a massive win, all caps, right? For American workers, energy, and the great people of South Texas. Thank you to our partners in India and their largest privately held energy company, Reliance, for this tremendous investment. It's called Reliance. It is because of our America First agenda, streamlining permits and lowering taxes, that have attracted billions of dollars in deals coming back to our nation. A new refinery at the port of Brownsville will fuel U.S. markets, strengthen our national security, boost American energy production, deliver billions of dollars in economic impact, and will be the cleanest refinery in the world. It will power global exports and bring thousands of overdue jobs and growth to a region that deserves it. This is what American energy dominance looks like. America first, always. So, yeah. So anyway, so he goes on to say here, Newsom's not happy about this. He said it's not going to go up by a cent. He said in overriding California's authority over a pipeline system that connects a trio of offline or offshore platforms to the coast of California, Wright is also bringing the full powers of the federal government to bear against California in an escalating conflict over whether oil producers should be allowed to expand drilling off the Golden State coast. Oh, so they're going to want to do more drilling too. Wow. The pipeline owner, Texas-based Stable Offshore Corp., appealed last year to Trump's National Emergency Dominance Council for help securing federal permits to transport its oil to market in a bid to get around state regulators who had raised environmental concerns. So in the last year, they've been trying to get this thing back online and probably not been able to do it. But now, hey, it's a federal, it's national defense. It's a security for America. So let's go in there and just take it, because this is a war effort, right? We're going to be this is a national security issue now. That's kind of like what they call eminent domain, where they can just take your property. If you're in a conflict zone, or you're in an area that's going to have potential, clashes and war fought on the land that you live, they can take your property. Let's say you live on a border, let's just say with Mexico, and there's some kind of invading army coming in, right? They can basically take your property and compensate you for whatever they think it's worth. And it's kind of like an eminent domain type thing. But they can do that in wartime wherever, if they need your resources. If there's a War Powers Act and a time of, global war, they can basically say, yeah, any industry that you have is now the government's, because we're an existential threat of the nation. Internet. It's national security. It's a national security thing. So we need your resources. That's why Canadian Prepper was talking about how Canada, he didn't want to give up all of his resources to the Canadian war effort if it does go down to the point where they start confiscating resources. He wanted to totally, completely get rid of all of his inventory before that happened and get out of the business. And that's what he did. So it says, while the nearby oil will provide a more profitable supply to the Golden State refiners, quote, we shouldn't expect that to really flow through to consumers in any meaningful way in California, and certainly not in the United States, Cummings says. So they're saying it's not going to really help, even if they do open it up. So even if they do open this up, it's not really going to help anything. That's what they're saying. California will not stand by while the Trump administration attempts to sacrifice our coastal communities, our environment, and our $51 billion coastal economy. The Trump administration and Sable are defying multiple court orders, and we will see them back in court. The Secretary of Energy, Wright, his directive is a lifeline for Sable, a company whose stock prices had plummeted at the end of last year amid the barrage of regulatory setbacks. Its shared value rose significantly after the Department of Justice opinion last week signaled that the company might benefit from a presidential intervention. Company representatives didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Sable's pipeline system has shut down since it was responsible for a major 2015 oil spill in Santa Barbara County while owned by a different company. Sable purchased the 3 offshore platforms, the pipelines, and offshore processing facility in 2024 and has been working to restart the operation ever since. That's interesting, isn't it? Let's see what else we got here. What else we got here? And that's about it, huh? Let's see here. Well, what do you guys think about Netanyahu? Before I go, do you think he's still alive? Do you think this quiet tweet stream that his son was always having because he's a huge social media personality, now silent for 6 days, means anything? Did something happen? Has something took place? I'm kind of wondering now if that message that I got is legit. It still doesn't look like anybody takes this serious right now. There are people asking questions now because there is a deafening silence from Netanyahu and his government about his well-being. There hasn't been any real confirmation that he's still, that he's still alive or he's okay, or, now his son has disappeared. You got to kind of wonder. I'll be interested to see where this goes. But in the meantime, could he be just hiding? I don't know, Patty. He could be. He could be. Bobby Ricky says, I'll miss BB. I'll miss him too. But hopefully it'll stop the war. No, if it's true, no, it probably won't. Probably make it even worse. But anyways, I guess we're going to find out. You got a screenshot? Really? That's crazy. Gillian, message us. Maybe that's kind of cool. You do screen printing, the real screen printing, the old school screen printing, or is it digital? Is it ink, like a digital print? I know there's different types. I've looked into it in the past. I used to do the sublimation, a little bit of the sublimation. I did some sublimated shirts. I kind of got into that a little bit back in the day. That's interesting. That's really cool with the print included. That's awesome. The Samsung option, I don't know. Maybe that they could. I mean, if that's true, very, very crazy. You can contact us on our anybody that needs to talk to us or get us a message. You could just use our app. There is a contact form there where you can message us through the contact form. But yeah, if you got anything that you want to share, any news, anything in general, just messages. We can't respond to everything, but we usually look at everything, so everything will be looked at. But yeah, if you leave your contact info, if we do contact you back, we'll get through to you there. So yeah, there's our app, and make sure you're on that app. Register on it. If you got your phone number on there, we'll send you a text. We'll send you text messages. And if you do happen to be sending a message with the app and you put your text or your name in there and you are on the text alerts, I can just send you a text. We can talk through text. Okay? All right. In the meantime, guys, God bless. Are we going to have a Zoom today? Yeah, we'll have a Zoom tonight. It's already 5:00. We'll do a short Zoom. How's that? How about we why don't we do a communion service? I really think that we should do a communion service. You think we should do it tonight? I probably should prepare for that a little bit. Maybe we should pray and pray about that. But we'll do a good service, a get together tonight. Anybody's welcome. If you're a part of this Patreon page, you don't have to be a paying member. If you just want to show up, come on over. Patreon, you'll find the links to Zoom. Just be a regular follower, and you can come on in. Okay, so we'll be there tonight at 6 in about an hour. All right, I'll do another hangout with you guys on Zoom, and maybe we'll put it on YouTube. All right, God bless. I'll talk to you guys in about